Hey, what's up guys? Today we're looking at Gigabyte's 1660 Ti Gaming OC, which is their highest tier card for the 16 series lineup so far. It retails for a slight premium over their base model and is one of the only models among all vendors that you'll find with a triple fan cooler. So today we're going to be looking at overclocking, thermals, and ultimately whether this model is going to be worth the slight premium over the base models. Now, we're not going to talk extensively about performance benchmarks. This video will mostly focus on the Gigabyte 1660 Ti Gaming OC. Having said that, here's a quick flick through our performance benchmarks for the 1660 Ti. Feel free to pause if you like, or better, watch the full 1660 Ti performance review in the top right hand corner. Overall, the 1660 Ti is pretty great value when stacked up against the current market. For $279 US, its performance is right around GTX 1070 territory, and there's plenty of stock available. By the way, I've also reviewed MSI's Gaming X 1660 Ti, so feel free to check my review out on that card if you like in the description. Okay, so on the surface, the Gaming OC 1660 Ti is a quite neutral looking card. It's got a dark grey shroud with a pretty reserved aesthetic, and the only RGB is on the side of the card on the logo. The Gaming OC takes an 8-pin power connector, which is pretty standard for the GTX 1660 Ti, and although the TDP of this card isn't listed, we can expect it to be a bit higher than the base models, just like the MSI Gaming X. The Gaming OC retails for $299 US on Amazon. It's a $20 premium over the base models, and for that extra money you're getting a slight factory overclock of 90 MHz on the core, and of course that triple fan cooler. One thing to note here on the Gaming OC is that it is one of the longest 1660 Ti's available, a bit longer than a common reference card, and it does come in at 280mm. This means that if you are building in a compact mid-tower case with a front-mounted AIO or a mini ITX case, you'll want to double check that you've got enough clearance. You've also got a dark grey backplate to hide the top layer PCB and protect it from dust, although nothing super fancy here, it is just plastic. The fans spin in opposite directions, also known as Gigabyte's wind force cooling design. The two outer fans spin anti-clockwise, whereas the inner fan spins clockwise. This supposedly keeps air moving in the same direction and reduces noise. We'll take a look at that in just a bit. Firstly though, out of the box, I did see the clock speed boosting between 1950 and 1965 MHz at stock, with the GPU temp leveling out to 65 degrees C at an ambient room temp of 22 C. The fan speed was sitting at around 55% or just below 1800 RPM, and we'll look at noise levels in just a minute. The fact that the clock speed is bouncing between a few values here tells us that there is a power limit that's quite effective out of the box, so to stabilize this you want to grab the power slider and raise it as high as possible. In this case we're able to raise the power limit to a whopping 143%. This is either a bug or a really generous move from Gigabyte. If it truly was 143% of the 1660 Ti's stock TDP of 120 watts, we'd be looking at a power limit of 172 watts. Personally, I am a bit skeptical. Regardless, for overclocking, I was able to apply a GPU core offset of plus 140 MHz and a memory offset of plus 1150 MHz. This had the GPU core clock sitting at 2085 MHz, and with the fan speed on auto, we're sitting at a pretty acceptable 67 degrees C. So in Far Cry 5 at 1440p, as you can see, this gave us a pretty significant boost in performance. I suspect this massive 14% boost is mostly due to the plus 1150 MHz offset that we were able to apply to the GDDR6 memory. This benchmark uses a high resolution texture pack and is also at 1440p, so you can expect the memory system to get quite the workout. For 1080p resolution in standard games, you can expect a more modest boost of around 10%. And so here we're looking at load temperatures overall, both when stock and overclocked, and including the surface temperature of the VRM MOSFETs and the memory modules as measured with a K-type thermocouple. All in all, there's absolutely nothing to worry about here, and these temps are well within check. Just make sure that your case has adequate airflow as usual. Noise levels were quite good too under load, and here's a quick noise test. So comparing this card to MSI's 1660 Ti Gaming X that we reviewed last week, the Gaming X cost $10 more, has superior noise and thermal performance, but my conclusion for that card was basically to consider cheaper cards that were priced closer to the base MSRP instead. This was because the 1660 Ti is already a pretty efficient GPU and it doesn't really require a large cooler or a premium heatsink. Most of the common dual fan cooler designs on the market will suffice. I also said that the small price margin between the 1660 Ti and the RTX 2060 does make recommending these premium cards a bit difficult, where for a small additional investment of about $40 or so, you can get an RTX 2060 Founders Edition for a worthy bump in performance. If you do go with the gaming OC though, I surely wouldn't blink an eye. It is the most affordable triple fan 1660 Ti as far as I can see. And if you don't want to look at more premium options like the Asus Strix or the MSI Gaming X, the Gaming OC from Gigabyte is a great middle point. So that is the 1660 Ti Gaming OC from Gigabyte and likely the final dedicated 1660 Ti card review that we'll be doing on the channel. Do stay tuned though, because we do have some more GPU content coming up next week and for the foreseeable few weeks after that. So do stay tuned if you do like the GPU content and specifically the performance reviews. As always guys, a huge thanks for watching. Consider subscribing down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.